It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Thursday, December 4th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that keeps getting blown away by these quick succession goals, Russ.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and welcome to Locked On Flyers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade, and I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 20 years, Russ Cohen. To keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. We are going to use that prospect expertise a little bit later in the show when we talk about draft eligible prospect Chase Reid, a real interesting defenseman. We are also going to talk about the potential return of Rasmus Ristolainen, which becomes a little bit more prescient here with a potential injury to Cam York sustained in this game against the Buffalo Sabres, which, I hate to dwell on that off the bat because it was a very good win for the Flyers, but that is certainly of concern.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We kind of noticed that he wasn't getting minutes, and then it's like, we didn't even get a notice up in the box that he wasn't returning. They had that flurry of offense, and that was really good. But like in the Sabres locker room, they knew there was a lot of ice out there, and I feel like the Flyers did leave too much ice out there, even though they had a win.
Yeah, it is interesting because, again, this is a situation where it's the Flyers having to hold on to a lead, right?
Right.
And we've seen them have some mixed results with that. And I think overall, they did a decent job of it this time, but they did leave some of that open ice. And, the Flyers did benefit from the overturned
Oh yeah,
goal for sure. It was the right call, but
it
it was
was.
still something they benefited from, again, leaving themselves open to that opportunity for the Sabres there. I do think to a large degree the Sabres did themselves in this
Yes.
game. They were a hot mess. That is a technical term here.
Yeah.
But, in terms of not being able to completely get it together and then defensive breakdowns and, obviously with the losing Rasmus Dahlin
Yeah,
with,
some dirty
that
play.
some
Yeah.
dirty play. That did not help them either in
No.
this game. So, I would say this is a 50-50 Flyers win and Sabres loss here.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. And look, a win is a win, but I can tell you if they play
Yeah.
this game against the Avalanche, they're going to get killed.
No, and we will talk about that on tomorrow's show for sure. But I do want to talk about the lineup changes with Tyson Foerster being out. And, we had talked about what we would predict might be the case. I thought they would reunite Cates and Brink, which they did. They just did it in a
Hmm.
slightly different manner. They're putting Grabenkin on that line. I thought they would have TK on that line, but for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter in the end. I think that reuniting Cates and Brink was really good for both of them, and it paid off. Each of them got a goal in the game and assisted on each other's goal.
Yeah, they both had really good games. There's no question. And Gurbenkin had a good game. Like I said, I just need to see him playing more. I'm not going to listen to any of this other stuff until, he's getting 14, 15 minutes, which he never gets.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in the second segment
Yes.
of the show for sure. But I also do want to talk about special teams in this game because, you want to see the Flyers stay out of the box a little bit more. Now, I know there was, a lot of these retaliation penalties. We
Hmm.
saw Mitchkov take another penalty. There were some, I think, repeated mistakes that happened in this one that led to the penalties that the Flyers took. The penalty kill, though, was pretty solid in this one, and, killing 5 of 6 was pretty good.
No, penalty kill was good. No question about it. Uh, but again, the power play is weird because, yeah, they did get a couple, but they couldn't score in the 5 minute. Technically, they could have been like 2 for 7 if you counted 5 minutes as two power plays. And I don't feel like they did themselves any favors putting Travis Sanheim on the power play. Like he has no power play points this year. He hasn't had a power play goal since before the pandemic. Like, I don't understand where they think this is all of a sudden gonna be magical for him.
Yeah, I don't know if they think it's gonna be magical. I
I'm
think
just
that
being facetious, but I'm just
no,
saying.
I know, but I do think it's fine to put him on the power play if they're gonna do that old school 2 defenseman power play, right? I think he can be useful in that situation, but in this game, they didn't do that, and so I don't
I
get it.
mean, last I looked, yeah, he had over 7 minutes of power play time.
Yeah, no, he did. I'm saying he should have less, and it should be on
Yes.
the unit for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
but I do think that, when they're looking to have a second unit or add Drysdale back into the power play rotation, I don't know that that's gonna be effective in the long term. Like you said, they did get 2 in this game, and that is very good. I think that will build some confidence here, but I still would tweak it, and I would still put Andre out there more on the
Yes.
on the power play. He was out there for, at least one of them,
Mhm.
that I saw. So that was good. But, yeah, I do think there are some adjustments to be made there, but overall good special teams in this game. I think that, the other thing is that they have to be a little bit more disciplined defensively overall. I think there were just times where that structure that was there most of the time just falls apart, and that's when they're vulnerable. And I think especially looking ahead to this next week of games, they're not gonna be able to get away with that the way they did against Buffalo.
No, there was a lot of looseness with the puck, and even though, like, Travis Konecny had a really nice goal, he had a blind pass in the 3rd period that against the wrong team, that ends up in the back of your net. And so it's like, they need to definitely tighten that up. They can't be so loose out there at times, especially, and I get it, they had a lead, but still, Sam Ersson had a good game,
He did.
and and that was, a factor because, like like I said, the Sabres weren't, like, having a hard time finding shots, and good shots.
Right. No, they had definitely high quality shots in this game, although the Flyers at 5 on 5 did, like, double up on the Sabres on high danger chances, and I think that, is something to hang your hat on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that's a good stat. I would like to find out how many of those were earlier rather than middle and later of the game, though.
Yeah, I mean, for the Flyers, they got
Yeah.
the majority of their high danger chances in the 3rd period.
Okay.
Um, it was split evenly in the first 2 periods, 4 and 4, and then they got 8 in the 3rd period, and that's just 5 on 5. If you look,
Okay.
in all situations, it was 22 to 11 for high danger chances. So, but even allowing 11 high danger chances in a game seems like a lot, but
It
the
does.
Flyers doubled up on it. So,
Right.
and they won the game. So ultimately, does it matter? I don't know.
No. No, and the Sabres are known for not great defense, obviously.
Right, right. But I think your point about Sam Erson's game was really good. It was really important because of that,
Yeah.
and I think this is actually a really good confidence building game for him, just because it ended in regulation. First off,
Yeah.
which is really good for him to get one of those wins. And I think that, there was a calmness there. And I think the team played correctly in front of him for the
Yeah, I
most
think so
part.
too. For the most part, I think, I have some nitpicking to do with that, but yeah, I think for the most part.
Yeah, I think that it was a key thing for the Flyers to be able to do. I think they also, had some really effective play net front in the
Mhm.
offensive zone, had the vast majority of their chances were in close, which is good, which is why, they saw those high danger chances. But I think that that's something that they've been working on and building on from game to game, and they were able to execute on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, Owen Tippett had a nice goal, a nice second effort, but then, like, after that, he went right back into that same funk where he would get a break down the end and miss the net completely. Like, it's just he can't seem to gain any momentum even after he gets a goal, and you see he gets frustrated. Like, it's just weird. I can't explain it.
Yeah, you wanna, like, build on that with the goal, but, you're right, I did see him come down the ice, I'm like, "You're in the same lane you're always in, you cut across in the same exact spot, and it just doesn't go," and, It is a little frustrating, but a good win overall for
Yes.
the Flyers. And again, with the Cam York injury, our conversation about Rasmus Ristolainen and his potential return is a little more prescient. We are going to get into that coming up next.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips over after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. You could bet the next touchdown, scorers, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. Again, I would go with the Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl. I think you can get some pretty good odds with them still. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen of the day. And thanks again for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. On tomorrow's show, we got to talk about the Colorado Avalanche, who are an avalanche
They're
of
pretty good.
sorts. Yeah, pretty good this season, and it's going to be at the start of a very big, difficult road trip for the Flyers. So we're going to get into how they should strategize around the games and
Yep.
and how they're going to match up against each of them moving forward. So stay tuned for that. We are going to talk about Rasmus Ristolainen. Do want to talk a little bit about Nikita Grabenkin first in terms of what Rick Tocchet had to say about him prior to yesterday's game, because I just thought it was really interesting about the specifics as to why he hadn't moved up in the lineup prior to the necessity of it because of the Tyson Foerster injury. And one of the things that he mentioned was that he has to skate and move his feet more. And I get that to some degree, but also when he's been on the line with the people he was with, like positionally, like had to be a little bit more stagnant in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't felt that he doesn't move his feet enough. Actually, I felt like there's at least 2 or 3 shifts where he's pretty impactful and can kind of cycle the puck and make some things happen around the net. I looked it up, but last game he averaged 1240. That was his high of minutes for the year. I mean, against Dallas, 1224. I mean, that's it. Those were his high marks. So even if he's trying to tell me that he's going to play up on the lineup and he has to do these things, I don't see him getting 15 minutes. So there's still going to be times in this game where he's not going to play. And he is a developing player. He has to play. What's really interesting here is he got traded from Toronto, right? Because he wasn't playing enough. He averaged 845. Well, he's averaged 952 in Philly so far this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he's got to be scratching his head. Like, what else do I have to do? Because I don't think he's necessarily doing anything wrong. I think once in a blue moon, we do see a bad shift or a turnover or something like that. But I haven't seen that much bad from him, and he just hasn't had an opportunity to show enough good. That's really been my take on him.
Yeah, and even Tocchet said his 2-on-1s are great, right?
Yeah.
And which is 100% the case. And so put him with guys that's going to allow him to capitalize on that more often. And I think good things will come. So hopefully we continue to see more from Grabenkin here. Turning our attention to Rasmus Ristolainen. Yesterday, he participated a little bit more fully in this process of getting him back on the ice. So he did what they're calling an upgrade from working with the player development coaches to now he's officially working with the assistant coaches and getting integrated and learning the systems. He's not with the full team yet. He's been out there with some of the guys. He's wearing a non-contact jersey. When asked more directly about it, Rick Tocchet said it's like basically somewhere between a week and a month that he'll be
That's a long
back.
time, Rick. Like, this has gone way beyond even the second update, it's gone way beyond this.
Yes. No, I absolutely agree. But the timeline is what it is. Like when we get initial timelines, they're never 100% right
No,
or
but I
rarely
mean, to
are.
overshoot it from a week to a month still, like we're already a month and change past what the last one was. So there is no
Sure.
timeline. In my mind, there is no timeline with this guy. There's not.
Right. But we have seen a change in his participation. And so that
Sure.
kind of necessitates the conversation
No, I
here
get that.
because you have to fit him in somewhere. And
Do
we've
you?
already talked extensively about the kind of logjam at defense. Now, it did help in terms of Adam Yinning going through waivers.
Yeah.
So it's one less body. So now we're just kind of dealing with Zamula and Juleson. So you add Risto back into the mix, like you have enough roster spots to account for it there. But you still have to figure out where to play him and why and how. So if you look at, our regular, quote unquote, regular pairings now, like I don't think under any circumstances you can put Rasmus Ristolainen in anywhere other than the third pairing, at least to
Agreed.
start, right?
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's crazy. He played a fair amount of games last year. The year before, obviously, he didn't.
Right.
The year before, he played a little more. But the thing is he going to be that guy when he comes back that you could go to for 20 minutes? No.
No.
And so, honestly, what I would do is when he is healthy, I would play him for one game for 15 minutes, let all the scouts in the world be there because I'll basically tell them all he's available via trade and let somebody take him off my hands. Because if you let him play and you wait until the deadline like you always do, he will get injured again and you won't be able to trade him again. And really, there's not much of a spot for him on this team. It's not like he's not an upgrade to any of the guys. It's just there is no future with him on this team. That's really what it is.
So I agree with you there that he is not part of the Flyers' future here.
No.
And regardless of what you think of him as a player, he just isn't part of that equation.
Right.
And so trading him is the right move here. Unfortunately, because of the very track record that you cited, Russ, I don't think he's tradable if you just play him for one game. I think you need to show 10 games with him out not getting hurt before other teams are going to give you anything other than a bag of pucks for him.
If you eat a little salary, Rachel, miracles can happen. That's what I've seen in this league. They just want to see that he could skate and be out there, and I think that's all you need to prove. But if they decide to eat some of the first year of the contract, you'll see. They'll be takers.
I don't think after one game that's the case.
I think after one game, they would be takers. There's teams that are desperate for defensemen.
I don't know, man. I think that's a tall order with
because the minute you start letting him play,
guy.
He will get hurt again. Like it's going to happen. Let him get hurt for somebody else, but somebody else could decide to use him minimally and get him into the playoffs. Like that'll be the plan for somebody. It just won't be the plan for this team.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think it's going to take more than a short-term stint. I think it's going to take 10 games before people are going to give anything in return that's going to be useful, even with some retained salary. It's 5.1. So if the Flyers retain 1 million, I guess that's okay, but I prefer not to get into that situation
I would do it because here's
one
the
more
other
year. Well, yeah, it is one more year. So
right.
It's not too bad, but I wouldn't want to retain more than that.
No, if you took a million off this year or even $1 million this year, 500 next year, if you had to, you probably could work it out. My whole thing is if he's in the lineup, Emil Andre's done. He doesn't see ice time anymore.
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering because
no, I'm pretty sure.
But to what I said earlier, you put him in the third pairing, right? That makes Zamula sit. I think you put Sealer in with Risto as your third pairing to start off with, get his sea legs back, so to speak. And Andre is still up in the top 4.
Maybe.
Unless Andre takes a huge nosedive in his playing ability and starts making horrific defensive plays, I just don't think he's lost that spot.
You didn't mention one defenseman. You didn't mention Noah Juleson.
Right, but that's part of that third pairing rotation.
Well, it won't be because
To get Risto back in, Juleson's the one you sit. Tocchet has already proven he's willing to sit Juleson. He's been doing it for the last 2 weeks. For the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, but it
He's
won't
been
last.
doing it.
It's not going to last. What they're going to do is they're going to put Risto on the third pairing to start. He will move up to the second pairing. Juleson will be back in there, and Andre will get the shaft. That's what I think will happen.
Well, I don't think so. I really don't. I think Andre has done the work to solidify his spot, and unless his play takes a nosedive, that's not going to change at least for the time being. Could Andre get moved down to a third pairing if they decide they want to move Risto up because he's playing so well and they haven't traded him? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that happens. But Andre's earned it at this point, and Andre could be part of the future of this team.
He should be, but again, I still look at the games played, and Juleson's played 5 since November 15th, and I just feel like, and Andre didn't play great last game, and so if Risto's back in a week, I could just see him getting sparse playing time. I just feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like the coach is going to just revert back to this,
but that's not Tocchet. We don't know what Tocchet's going to do in this situation.
Well, I do think I know what he's going to do, because I think if they're still close to a playoff spot, I think they're going to think their playoff chances improve with Risto in there because he's bigger and more physical. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're just going to agree to disagree here.
That's fine.
Think that it's going to I don't disagree with you that trading him is the right thing to do, and they should try and showcase him.
And for everything that I just outlined is why I'm trading him.
Yeah. I mean, so I think he should get traded, but at least to start off with, I think he's got to do at least 10 games with this team before he gets traded. And that's how it would work as far as starting off with the third pairing, maybe moving up a little bit if it works out. But that's kind of where I am at. Speaking of the future of the Flyers blue line, we are going to continue looking at some 2026 draft potential picks here. And we're going to look at Chase Reid coming up next. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. And that's why I've been using DripDrop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. DripDrop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I work out a lot, and I like using DripDrop as part of my daily routine. I'll mix a packet in the morning before I go to the gym to make sure I have the right level of energy to power through that spin class or on my weights day. My go-to flavor is zero sugar strawberry lemonade. It's become my secret weapon for staying hydrated, which is so important. Right now, DripDrop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LockedOnNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LockedOnNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with DripDrop. All right, Russ, Chase Reid. I am actually so excited to talk about this kid. He seems like a very good option for the Philadelphia Flyers. He ticks a lot of the boxes that this team is looking for. He's a 6'2", 185 right-handed defenseman. He's an offensive defenseman. He's turning 18 this month. Currently playing in the OHL with the Soo Greyhounds. He is slated to go to Michigan State in a couple years and currently ranked about 7th as the median overall. The highest 3, the lowest 22, but most early rankings have him in the 7 to 10 range here. And I love everything about this kid in terms of his style of play. He shoots the puck like no other. He has the most shots on goal for any defenseman in the OHL.
Yeah, no, he's a real offensive force, and he does have a lot of snap on his shot. There's no question about it. Yeah, it's a 27-28 right now for Michigan State. I wonder if that would change.
Could.
I feel like I wrote an article, and I feel like he might go next year. I just had this feeling that if certain players like Porter Martone and Shane Van Saghis decide, hey, if we can get Chase Reid here, we'll stay. It makes me wonder if that would happen. So we'll see. We'll see how all that. But as far as a player, he was really good in the Prospect Challenge, the USA versus NTDP versus CHL. They called it USA. It really was the NTDP.
Well,
mostly.
because Chase is American,
he was
but
an
he was
American,
on the CHL.
but he was on the
like,
CHL,
team.
and Blake Zielinski's not on the NTDP, and he was on the team, so that's why they called it USA. But it was a lot of the NTDP.
Right.
Yeah, and Reid's on the short list, well, the longer list, I should say, for the World Juniors right now for camp. So good for him, because people were wondering if he was going to get invited to USA's camp, and he did. He was good. I mean, he had a hell of a goal, but he also, that first game was not great. And neither was the whole team. Like, that's where the USA had a little bit of an edge, even though we all thought the CHL had a much better lineup as far as talent, but they played more like a team. And Reid had some hiccups in that first game, a little bit of problems with decision-making and such. He cleaned it up the next game. I liked it. He got the goal. He looked good. If you look at Instat, his puck battles, he wins around 60%, 45% of shots on net. He's already 6'2", 185, so he's got a little bit of strength. He'll probably get to that magic 200 that everybody's trying to get to, because everybody is being told get to 200 pounds, and if you have a little height to you, and it just seems like that's where guys are going. So he'll get there. Excellent skater, calm and poised with the puck. Like, it's something you can't teach. The way he kind of skates around, and he has this confidence. He makes that pass. He does his lateral skating, no problem. He knows when to pinch on a play and get in on the action offensively, and then to go back on defense. He knows how to do all that. So that's a big deal. You give him some room, and it's a problem. And his passing's really good too. Like, his passing has some power behind it already. And so, yeah, this guy, I don't think he ever gets to 7. I think he will go somewhere between 3 and 5.
Yeah, that's what I saw, a lot of notes to that effect in terms of the scouting reports on him. But like, people are saying, oh, top 5, no question, based on what he's been able to exhibit so far this season. And, I mentioned he takes a lot of shots there, but even though Soo is like middle of the pack right now in the Western Conference in the OHL, Chase is currently 3rd in OHL in scoring for defensemen overall, which is really good. He has got 10 goals and 18 assists in 27 games. So like just above a point per game there. So that just shows the offensive defenseman in it. But like you said, he's a play driver. A lot of people have said he has really good gap control defensively. And I think that's important too. Is like, he's not just entirely focusing on his offensive game. He's working really hard on developing, using his physicality and, his positioning on the ice to be able to cut off offensive rushes. And I think that's just so important, because so many people get caught up for offensive defensemen on the scoring side of things, and, what he does, because he does step up, right? Because he's a power play guy, right?
Yeah.
So
he's a power play guy. He's a goal scorer, which if you go back all the way through his career, he scored goals. That's important. Like, that's hard to find.
Right. So on the power play side of things, you see him step up all the time, where he's at the blue line, but he'll just skate his way net front, right? And make an incredible move and score a goal. It is something that he's not going to be able to do as liberally as he does now, as the skill level, gets higher as he moves up and gets closer to the NHL. But the fact that he has the instinct to do that is a really good thing. And I don't think that's something that will ever leave his game, based on, everything I've seen of it. And I just really, really liked everything I saw. And even the side of it where he does make mistakes, to your point, he does recover very quickly and learns from those mistakes. And, he just allows that to kind of brush off and then moves on, and then has a really good game the next game, to your point. So I just really like what he has to offer. And in terms of what he has, like, the Flyers are lacking. And so I think it'd be a really interesting opportunity to draft him.
Yeah, they don't have anybody like him. He has a similar frame to Travis Anaheim, a little smaller. But Sanheim doesn't have any kind of offense in his game like this. And this is something the Flyers desperately need. He plays on the PK. He gets a fair amount of offensive zone time. He doesn't have a ton of penalties. He's averaging an insane 27-27 according to Instat. That's what he's averaging. Now, that does happen. OHL teams will just put boatloads of minutes on these kids.
Well, and especially for a team that isn't one of the top teams, right? And he's like everything they need him out there all the time, right?
And he averages 503 on the power play, which, probably means he rarely ever comes off of the power play, like 20 seconds. So, this is the kind of guy you want. Yeah. Will the Flyers be in that position? I don't know. Like, that's one of those things where, they might overshoot it. But if they're picking 7th, they're not going to get him. I'm pretty sure of that. So that's the thing. He's a bit of a commodity. He is a right-handed shot, so that'll rise him in the rankings too.
Yeah, but a really exciting player to consider for the Flyers, and somebody you think about trying to move up to get. Honestly, if the circumstances present themselves,
to do it with somebody that's looking to get picks. If Nashville's up there and they want an extra pick, and I could get him as a team, I'm getting them.
Yeah, I think so. But we will add him to our list of prospects we're taking a look at. I'll be starting that spreadsheet pretty soon. Close. So I think like right around World Juniors is when we get that spreadsheet going. So
I'll never be excited about a spreadsheet, but I know you get excited.
I do. Well, especially when it comes to tracking our draft prospect coverage, which we love doing and we will continue to do. That will do it for today. We will be back tomorrow. Like I said, we're going to talk about the Colorado Avalanche matchup over the weekend, as well as the entirety of this really tough road trip coming up ahead. It's going to be a big challenge for the Flyers. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. If you've got mailbag questions or Flyers thoughts, let us know on any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen today. For your next listen, check out Locked On NHL Game Night. It's every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. You get local analysis on a national scale with NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL. It's on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.